Applying video effects is a great way to fix, enhance, color correct, or stylize your clips. Let's take a look. All right, so I have my sequence here, and I'd like to try out just a couple of different looks. And I'm going to try these looks out on this shot here where I have my marker. Just so I'm aware of how my changes are affecting images of people, I just want to make sure that everything looks okay as I change color schemes with regard to skin tones and such. So I just want to go over to my Effects tab. Again, that's usually right here in the Project panel, and then Effects. If that's not here, just go to Window and make sure you have a check mark next to Effects. All right, so most of the time when you're changing the way your clips look, you're going to be dealing with effects inside this category here, Video Effects. And you can see that there are categories and categories and categories of different effects in here. Okay, so it can be a little bit daunting, but I encourage you to play around with them to see what they do. There are a lot of really exciting ways you can affect your video. For our purposes, I'm going to add a very specific set of effects to teach you a little something about order of operations, since it's important to know how different video effects work together. So the first effect I'm going to add is the black and white filter. So I could, burrow down and try to find it, or you can just type it in here, which is what you do most of the time. So I'm just going to type in black and then an ampersand. And here's my black and white. And one way that you can apply an effect to a clip is to just drag and drop it on the clip right in the timeline. All right, so you can see the filter is automatically applied. And then if I click on the clip and come up to Effect Controls, you can see the black and white filter is right here. Now, there aren't any parameters for changing the properties within the black and white filter. It's either black and white or it's not. To look at it without the filter applied, you can just click on this little effects icon. So it's off and now it's on. And if you want to delete it, you just simply select it here in the Effects Control panel and press Delete. All right, I'm going to add that back on, and I just want to go over a couple of the other ways that you can do that. Besides drag and dropping on top of the clip in the timeline, you can simply select the clip and then drag and drop up here in the Effect Controls panel. Or, with the clip selected, you can simply double-click on the effect here in the Effects panel. All right, let's add another effect. I'm going to type in Tint, and here it is, so we'll just add that. And here you can see there are parameters to change. And specifically, what I want to change is my map white 2 value. I'm just going to click in this color well, and I'm going to choose another color. Let's get a nice gold color here. So we'll grab that, and then maybe something like that. Okay? I'm going to say OK. And you can see that the tint has been applied. Right now, it's being applied 100%. I'm just going to back that off to something in the mid-60s. Okay. Now, the reason I picked these two effects is so that I could show you a few things about effect interaction as well as order of operations. First, notice what the black and white filter does for me. If I click on my little effects icon, the black and white filter goes away, and you'll notice what tint looks like without first stripping the color. Let me turn that back on. Next, look what happens when I switch the order of effects. I'm going to just drag black and white down, so tint is applied first and then black and white. And the image is black and white, because first it's being tinted, and then it's being stripped of that because the black and white filter is applied last. My tint certainly still has a bearing on how this looks, though. Watch what happens when I turn off tint. Okay, so these effects are definitely interacting with one another. I'm going to move tint back down, okay, and I'm going to apply another effect. And I just want to give this a little bit more pop, so I'm going to type in Auto Contrast here, and we'll add that. And you can see there are various parameters that we can change. I'm not going to do that right now, though. I do want to show you that applying auto contrast in a different order definitely has a bearing on the way the image looks. Okay, you can see that it pops a lot less when the auto contrast comes first. And when you move it to the end, it gives it the pop that I'm after. I'm going to apply one more effect, and I'm going to make it a blur effect. And I'm going to grab the Gaussian Blur and apply that last. And right now, there's no blur because I haven't affected the blurriness. So let's just use our value shuttle and increase our blurriness. And you might be thinking, what are you doing? But don't worry, I actually just want to constrain the blurriness to the very edges. So you've probably seen these shapes underneath each effect. This is where I'm going to actually use these. These are masks. So let's create an ellipse mask, okay? And now the blurriness is confined to this shape. So I'm going to just create a shape that surrounds my video frame. All I'm doing is clicking right here on the wireframe and dragging out. Notice that there are these Bezier handles if I needed to, change the angle, but I won't do too much in terms of changing the shape further. All right, and we don't want the inside of the shape blurred, we want the outside of the shape blurred. So we come down to inverted and switch that around. And right now there's a little bit of a stark edge between what is blurred and what's not. So I'm going to grab my mask feather and bump that value up. All right, so now we have applied 4 effects to this one clip. And this has showed us a little bit about how to edit our effects and reorder our effects and how they interact with one another, which is so important when creating looks with different video filters.